what is with celebrities selling off their watch collections? If I'm somebody like a Sylvester Stallone, who presumably is very well off, I don't know if I would ever let go of these prized possessions. And the next guy on the block to sell off, I guess, some of his collection is Tom Brady, the GOAT. 7-time world champion, the best that ever did it, and I don't think there'll be anybody else out there that will be a better quarterback ever in terms of stats, his gameplay, what he did for the sport. The 7-time Super Bowl champion is basically selling off the collection with Sotheby's, calling it the GOAT collection. Rightfully so. Watches and treasures from Tom Brady. That's what Sotheby's officially called it. They're saying the watches are going to range from $12,000 to $1 million. It's going to include Patek, Rolex, IWC, among other things, as well as custom-made timepiece by Audemars Piguet. And that custom-made timepiece, we can pop it in, I'm sure, you may have first got a glimpse of at the Tom Brady roast, which, by the way, was amazing. If you guys didn't catch that on Netflix, I highly, highly recommend. The custom timepiece is the one that actually says Tom Brady in precious stones across the top. I'm quoting Brady now. He said that his passion for timepieces began after he graduated high school, when his parents gifted him his first graduation gifts. And it wasn't until Super Bowl 2002 that his collection really took off. And since then, he's been acquiring watches to basically mark some of his biggest occasions. In my opinion, the biggest highlight of the sale is going to be that one-of-a-kind Audemars Piguet. They estimated it from 400 to 800,000, which means expected to go over $1 million. Remember one thing, and I talked about this when I talked about the Sylvester Stallone auction that Sotheby's did. You have two genres of bidders out there: those that are into sports collectibles that usually tend to pay big, big money for sports collectibles, as well as watch people. And a lot of times, those two collectors go hand in hand. I have a lot of clients of mine that buy watches that are also sports memorabilia collectors, that are also baseball card collectors, Formula One collectors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's also selling off his 3503 Nadal. Now, Sotheby's put it as a baby Nadal. No, that's not the baby Nadal. The baby Nadal is the 35, the very small first one, the black one. But let's call it that. It's the blue quartz encased timepiece. They said, no, that's TPT. And TPT, North-Tin Ply Technologies, is carbon. It's not quartz encased timepiece. And they're saying this thing can sell for as much as $500,000. I think it will do more as well. 5980 rose gold. He purchased it in 2017. An IWC Top Gun, and so on and so forth. And the Top Gun actually is something that he wore during his last Super Bowl championship parade in 2021. I believe he was one of the ambassadors for IWC. You often see him advertising IWC, so he kind of had to wear that one. So maybe he's getting rid of it because he no longer won it. But this was post a very historic win in 2021 when he won yet another championship, this time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's talk about Rolex cutting out the middlemen in China, opening their first ever direct store in the county of Shanghai's HKRI Taikoo Hui Mall. I'm sure I mangled that. Doesn't matter. Up until now, Rolex has solely relied on authorized dealers within mainland China, making this the very first direct-to-consumer. Again, cutting out the middleman, following the footsteps of a lot of other brands out there. Shout out to Francois from Audemars Piguet that started doing that big time, and everybody else follows suit. It's going to operate under the Bucherer Group. So technically, it's a Bucherer store, right? But Rolex owns Bucherer, therefore they're going right direct. And rightfully so, China is the biggest luxury market, although not right now. By the way, guys, I will do an in-detail video in regards to current market conditions that will discuss in further detail what's going on in Asia, what's going on all over the world, and how the watch market is being affected by that. So stay tuned. According to Rolex, this enables Rolex to exert greater control of its customer experience and brand storytelling in China, highly competitive luxury market, because Rolex needed brand telling and storytelling, because Rolex doesn't sell itself. No, you're cutting out the middleman. There will be a section on the second floor stocking officially authorized pre-owned Rolex. So they're bringing the Rolex CPO program there as well. And if they bring it there at the prices that Bucherer is selling them at right now, nobody's going to be buying them. They'll also offer recycling services, a move that reflects the growing consumer demand for sustainability and certified luxury resale products. Have no idea what that means. Have no idea what that's going to do for them. I don't know if this is just a marketing technique or what, but it is what it is. Now I'm going to go back to a piece of news that I talked to you about a while ago when we heard that LVMH is going to be taking over for Rolex as official sponsor of Formula One. Well, now it's official. As Formula One prepares to celebrate its 75th anniversary in 2025, Formula One officially was formed in 1950. It was announced that LVMH became a global partner from 2025 with a 10-year agreement. Now, as part of this deal, several LVMH iconic maisons will be involved in the partnership, including Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, and Tag Heuer. We were guessing between Hublot and Tag Heuer, what are we going to see on the sidelines? It looks like Tag Heuer it is. Tag Heuer has a long history, or Heuer has a long history with racing, rightfully so, but it doesn't mean we may not see some Hublot stuff in and around the track. I expect a Hublot at least a Hublot sponsorship for one of the teams. I expect Hublot to be present just the same, but it looks like Tag Heuer is going to be in the limelight first and foremost. And according to the expert, Tag Heuer is set to benefit mostly from all the brands that are under the LVMH umbrella, and rightfully so. They already have a long-term partnership with Red Bull Racing and the Monaco Grand Prix, so they will fit right in. And kudos to LVMH, congratulations to LVMH. Can't believe Rolex let go of that sponsorship. Just can't believe it. What's next? You're gonna get rid of tennis as well, Rolex? Not a good move. Omega came out with a new Seamaster Regatta, and this one is actually a tool watch that can actually be used during a regatta, right? It's the most technologically advanced timepiece in 3 model lineup celebrating the 37th America's Cup. Now, they became an official timekeeper since the last 3 contests, and there's going to be a special edition Seamaster Diver 300 meters and a Seamaster Planet Ocean Emirates team in New Zealand. Again, obviously a sponsorship of a team, much like in Formula One. Now, not a small watch, 46.75 millimeters, so effectively a 47 millimeter watch. Now, it's built out of grade 5 titanium, makes sense, has to be durable. A mega scale by 5701, which is a cross chronograph movement accurate to 7 seconds per year. Wow. It's a quartz watch. I'm not that impressed. It's supposed to be that accurate. Right now, this is a combination of analog hands and LCD dial display, 4 rubberized chronograph pushers, and a resonator cavity to increase the volume of its various chimes and alarms, right? Again, this is made to use in a regatta. Now, the pushers are arranged symmetrically at the 2, 4, 8, and 10 o'clock, and the controls include all kinds of functions: temperature gauge, accelerometer, perpetual calendar, and regatta race countdown. A backlit mode amplifies digital legibility and tucks the skeletonized sword hands out of the way just past the 3 o'clock. Graphic moon phase indicator. It's customizable to whatever hemisphere you're in. And there's an electronic sailing log functionality that can store timestamps from the race, though there's no way to export that data. Priced at $7,400. Good looking watch. I actually like the way the watch looks. I've never been a big fan. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some watches I am a fan of utilizing certain digital things within the watch. For example, the Breitlings, the pilot watches that have certain digital functionality that's actually useful. This watch actually can be used. It actually is a watch that has functionality that the sailors can actually use. Richard Mille makes a regatta watch, which is all analog, obviously. Yes, it can be used, but I'm sure the teams prefer to use digital instruments because you need up-to-date accuracy and ease of use, and this looks like it has achieved both. Again, looks-wise, good-looking watch. Price tag, $7,400, also fairly reasonable for what it is, and you will find a lot of regatta fanatics out there that will pick this watch up. I don't expect for these to discount much on the secondary, just not gonna find many of them. They're gonna get sold out fairly quickly. The first ever Rolex worn on a moon is up for auction. Edgar Mitchell spent 9 hours walking the surface of the moon as part of the Apollo 14 program. He was the 6th person to tread lunar surface, but with his Rolex GMT Master 1675 on his right wrist. The first to ever bring a Rolex to the moon surface. Now, I know when you're thinking about moon surface, you're thinking about Omega, all right? But Rolex also made its way to the moon. And now Mitchell's Pepsi was both the first automatic watch and the first Rolex ever worn on the moon. Now, this very watch is coming up for auction, only the 2nd lunar Rolex to be publicly available. No photos of the watch being worn on the moon surface, okay? I'm assuming back then it was pretty difficult to take a selfie from within one spacesuit. But there are plenty of images showing the watch on Mitchell's wrist before the mission, immediately after the moonwalk, and post-mission completion back to Earth. It even comes with a touching personal inscription in the back, worn by CDR E. Mitchell on Apollo 14, 1971, to Carlin, my daughter. Estimated price is set at $400,000. My expectation is for this to beat the estimate by far. I would say probably beat it by double that. Again, we're going back to 2 genres of collecting. There's a lot of people that are into space exploration that have collectibles in that genre. Stuff worn in space, boots, gloves, etc. You name it. And again, oftentimes I always say those that collect high-end items, and by high-end, I mean expensive items. Some of these space items can get up there in value if you look at some recent auction results, right? Especially ones that have a hell of a pedigree to them or whoever wore them. With that said, you add a watch into that mix, hits 2 genres, and the people that collect these high-end collectibles tend to have the money to spend on collectibles outside of that. And I wouldn't be surprised that the bidder on this watch that ends up winning this is more infatuated with collecting things from outer space, or I should say things that made it into space. I'm not talking about alien ships. then he would be more of a fan of the watch. So I guess time will show, we shall see. Another new launch from Panerai. They launched a set of watches that pays tribute to US Navy SEALs. Great move. Originally, Panerais were made for Italian special forces. I forget what they were called for the Italian Navy, right? So it only makes sense for them to do a tribute to the US American SEALs. Now, again, taking cues from desert camouflage, which I'm not sure how that fits in, but I like the way the watch looks. I mean, aesthetically, again, I'm a little bit biased. I've been a fan of Panerai since I started in this business. I've sold a lot of Panerai in my career. I was there during the Paneristi boom where all Panerais was selling overlists and it was a big craze about them. It does have this Navy SEAL decal at 6 o'clock. Small seconds designed to resemble a target and a logo of the Navy SEALs engraved in the case back. The 4 new watches are going to be the submersible 44, they called it. 44 millimeter brushed stainless steel with a unidirectional rotating bezel, a submersible 44 Navy SEALs GMT Carbotech. Love the new Carbotech stuff from them. Again, 44 millimeters made in Panerai's Carbotech, carbon watch, right? So it's about 80% lighter than steel, so obviously a lot more comfortable. A submersible Navy SEALs Titana, which is a 47 millimeter model in brushed titanium with a unidirectional rotating Carbotech bezel. So now we have the titanium case, and then we have a Carbotech bezel, right? And this is a big one. This is a 47 millimeter. And of course, the submersible Chrono Navy SEALs Titano, which is again a 47 millimeter model in titanium DLC. Now, personally, my pick was the Chrono right away. Just everything about the layout of that dial. Very